Oh, time for another Man and Great book review. Today's book is Crazy Horse, A Life by Larry McMurtry, originally published by Penguin Books in 1999. This reprint edition is from 2005. It's 148 pages. This is part of an experimental book series called the Penguin Lives book series, in which Penguin commissioned a number of novelists to write short biographies of personalities of their choosing. Now, the theory behind this was that by having a novelist, a successful novelist, write a biography, they would write a more engaging, more interesting biography than the oftentimes, or I shouldn't say often, but sometimes stilted prose of professional historians. So, of course, Larry McMurtry, the novelist from Texas, is best known for his Pulitzer Prize novel, Lonesome Dove. He wrote a whole series of Western novels, so he was well familiar with the American Western history, the history of the Old West, and so it's kind of not surprising that he chose the Oglala Sioux warrior Crazy Horse for his subject. And in McMurtry's telling, Crazy Horse is a man of many contradictions, multiple contradictions. On the one hand, he was completely fearless and incredibly brave in battle, but in everyday life around his fellow Sioux tribes people, he was very introverted and shy and soft-spoken, often very, rarely speaking to people unless he had to. He was also someone who was highly devoted to his family and tribe, but would frequently disappear off on his own for weeks. He felt this urge to get away from everyone, and he would just vanish, take his rifle and go off hunting and be gone for weeks at a time without telling anybody where he was going, and then he'd suddenly show up again later on. He was admired by almost everybody within his tribe, but he also had a reputation for somewhat erratic behavior, and he had a very messy personal life, and that really kept him from ever becoming a tribal chieftain. He was never a chief, although he was an important warrior. Of course, he's probably best remembered for his role in the defeat of George Custer at the Battle of Little Bighorn in 1876, and for his unprovoked killing while a prisoner of the U.S. Army a few years later. Crazy Horse is portrayed by McMurtry as an essentially lonely person, someone who didn't really fit in with his own culture and, of course, completely rejected the white man's culture. Crazy Horse is one of the few Native American leaders who would not allow himself to be photographed. We have no photographs of Crazy Horse. We do have some posthumous drawings done. There were some people who knew Crazy Horse who described him to artists who drew pictures of him, but we have no portraits from life, and we have no photographs of him because he completely rejected the whole idea of photography and the white man's technology and so forth. Of course, like a lot of his fellow Oglala Sioux, he regarded their movement into the South Dakota hills as an invasion of their own sacred land. The Black Hills were considered sacred to them, and there's still, to this day, a big dispute about the ownership of the Black Hills. The Oglala Sioux today still say that belongs to them. The Supreme Court ruled years ago that they were illegally taken away from the Sioux and were given compensation to make up for it, but the Sioux refused to take it, and that money is still sitting. It's millions of dollars sitting in an escrow bank account somewhere because the Sioux say that they don't want the money, they want their land. Their land is sacred to them. I mentioned Crazy Horse's messy personal life. One of the major sections in this book describes his relationship with the only woman he truly loved, a woman named Black Buffalo Woman. Unfortunately, she was married to another man named No Water, but that didn't stop Crazy Horse from desiring her. And one day, when No Water was away from camp, he convinced Black Buffalo Woman to run off with him. So they disappear off with one of Crazy Horse's brothers, and they go off out into the prairie somewhere. And when No Water comes home and finds his wife missing and finds out that Crazy Horse has gone off with her, he decides to go kill him. So he eventually tracks him down, and he sticks his gun into the teepee and fires. And but at the last minute, Crazy Horse's brother hits the rifle, and the bullet does a glancing blow across Crazy Horse's cheek, so he's not killed, but he's left with a permanent scar. Crazy Horse's brother negotiates kind of a peace agreement between the two, and they kind of patch things up. But he spends the rest of his life pining for Black Buffalo Woman, and she's depressed because no water, being humiliated by Crazy Horse, turns to drink, and he becomes an alcoholic. So it's just a messy thing, and that's one of the reasons this was a big scandal within the Oglala Sioux tribe. And so even though Crazy Horse was admired for his warriorship and his leadership skills, because of this, it was one of the reasons why they didn't trust him with the chieftain of the tribe when he had the opportunity to become chief. So, and of course, his death, I would say murder, you can decide whether it is or not, at the hands of the U.S. Army was certainly because even in prison, Crazy Horse was inspiring other members of his tribe and other Native American tribes to revolt and reject the reservation system that they had imposed on him. So it was really only a matter of time before they would find an excuse to kill him, because as long as he was alive, just like Sitting Bull, they feared that as long as both these guys were alive, they would never be able to put down permanently the Native American revolt. Unlike some other tribes members like Red Cloud or Quanah Parker, they didn't compromise with Crazy Horse. Refused to compromise at all with the white man. So if you are a fan of Larry McMurtry's fictional books, or you're a fan of old Western history, you'll certainly enjoy this brief but very well written biography of one of the great Native American leaders, Crazy Horse. The book is Crazy Horse Alive. The author is Larry McMurtry. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching.